The ACX1150 series from MAHLE Service Solutions for refrigerant R134A is engineered with time-saving components for improved efficiency and performance when providing AC service for your customers, when every minute counts. Loaded with cost-saving features and the same superior system performance of the best-selling Arctic Pro series, the ACX1150 provides accelerated AC service for a value price. Now that you have your ACX1150 or 1150H, we need to go over a few important pieces of information. Please be sure to read all important safety instructions and regulations located in the instruction manual before operating your ACX1150 or 1150H. If your service manual is missing, go to servicesolutions.mahle.com and you'll be able to download a manual. Always observe all warning notices on the unit and wear both protective goggles and protective gloves when performing AC service. The ACX1150 is suitable for vehicles with a conventional engine. The ACX1150H is suitable for vehicles with a conventional engine as well as for hybrid and electric vehicles. Please note that extra safety features are built into the H model and only the H model should be used to service hybrid and electric vehicles. A key feature of the ACX1150 and 1150H is the EcoLock quick couplers that enable the reduction of non-condensable gases formed inside the cylinder. They avoid the loss of refrigerant into the air during disconnections. To connect the coupling, position the coupling on the parking coupler and pull back the knurled section of the coupling element and press carefully onto the connections. The following functions will be reviewed: refrigerant recovery and recharging, vacuum generation, flushing. Please note that the ACX1150 and 1150H can only be operated with R134A refrigerant. Before performing a refrigerant service, it is very important to verify the refrigerant type. A unit is available from MAHLE to allow you to make this test before performing AC service. Now, let's review some important information regarding the initial use of the ACX1150 series. Refer to the owner's manual in Section 5 and 6 prior to the first use. Once the unit is unpacked, remove the load cell retention bolt located on the underside rear of the unit. The next steps of commissioning the unit are also required prior to the first use. Set the internal cylinder fill to the desired quantity with a minimum of 3 kilograms. Follow the on-screen instructions. Make sure the hoses are disconnected from any external source. Start the procedure that initially creates vacuum in the internal refrigerant circuit. This process takes approximately 15 minutes. Once the message is displayed, the unit can be connected to the external cylinder and the valves opened. Just before the targeted refrigerant amount is reached, the unit will pause and prompt the user to close the external refrigerant tank connection. Once this is done, the unit will continue to recover the refrigerant from the hoses and end once this is completed. The total amount recovered will be displayed. Setup of your unit is important for identifying key parameters and preferences. Press Setup option. Here is where you can enable EcoLock couplers, set recharge modes, enable pressure checks, indicate options for saving reports and language preferences, and selecting the unit of measure. Refer to your owner's manual for a full list of options and instructions in the Setup menu. The user interface is where all settings, controls, and service functions are available on the LCD touch display. Data entry and moving of the cursor is performed by touching the screen with your finger or stylus. The menu options include automatic cycles, manual cycles, setup, maintenance, and service. Before we begin, make sure the locking caster brakes are locked at the rear wheels. Plug the ACX1150 or 1150H into a power supply and flip the rocker switch to the on position. You can make your choice of two different refrigerant charge methods. The quick charge mode is where the ACX1150 injects the refrigerant through the HP port. The refrigerant remains in the hoses at the end of the cycle and is then recovered during a hose clearing process. The zero tolerance mode, by default, will charge the high-pressure red hose. Then refrigerant that remains in the hoses is pulled into the vehicle's AC system through the low-pressure blue hose. Please refer to your owner's manual for a complete list of preferences available for the automatic cycle setup. Here is where you change vacuum time, oil amounts, and refrigerant amounts to be charged. This is also where you would select the vehicle compressor type, and for the 1150H model, this is where you would change it to the electric or high voltage models. If the selected type is electric, a special flushing procedure will be executed to clear any potential oil residue in the hoses from previous services. You can choose to complete your cycle by accessing the main menu and selecting Automatic Cycle or Manual Cycle. To begin, select whether you would like to load the parameters used during the last AC service, or select My Database to load customer parameters previously saved. After the selection is made, a screen will appear showing the data for the process. After the parameters are adjusted, press Start to begin the automatic cycle, and then follow the instructions displayed on the screen. For a manual process, select Recovery. Then follow the on-screen instructions to begin the recovery process. Select Vacuum. The unit will display a screen for the prompt to enter the length of the vacuum time and the vacuum test time. Press Start. Connect the HP-LP couplers to the vehicle AC system. Open the couplers and select Start. To recharge, select Recharge. Adjust the value on the screen to match what the vehicle's AC system requires by pressing the left or right arrow keys. Set whether the service is to be performed on the HP or LP sides, then connect the couplers to the vehicle fittings and follow the on-screen instructions. For flushing, install the flushing kit as described in the instructions included with the flush kit. Then follow the on-screen instructions. Pressure checks are used to check pressure inside the vehicle's AC system using the ACX1150 or ACX1150H. Connect the HP and LP couplers to the AC system in the vehicle and follow the on-screen instructions. Start the vehicle and turn on the AC system. Set the temperature to the coldest setting and set the fan speed to the max level. Then close all vents except the center one and set the air distribution to that vent. Keep the engine at high idle speed, approximately 2000 RPM, for at least 2 minutes. Then check pressure values in 3 to 5 minutes. At the end, check that both values on the HP and LP gauges fall between the values shown on the display. To clear pressure from the inside of the unit hoses, in the manual cycle, use the up or down arrow keys to select Hose Emptying, and then press Enter. Allow the procedure to run to completion. For maintenance of your ACX1150 or 1150H, complete instructions are available in your owner's manual. This information includes filling the internal refrigerant cylinder, leak self-test, cylinder pressure checks, vacuum pump oil changes, and more. There is also a troubleshooting guide located in the back of the manual. Should you require any additional help, please call our tech support line at 800-468-2321. And troubleshooting has never been easier with the remote technical support and service feature. You can plug in and experience live remote support where MAHLE Tech Support can view diagnostics of your AC servicing unit for troubleshooting and help with your questions. This concludes the training video. The Arctic Pro ACX1150 series is the solution for high-quality, accelerated AC servicing. For additional information of other tools and equipment from MAHLE Service Solutions, visit servicesolutions.mahle.com.